So the pre-selection tests, they essentially look like as follows. There is an abstract reasoning test, a numerical reasoning test, a verbal reasoning test. There is a language test, which is, in our interpretation, very similar to the verbal reasoning test, but maybe a slightly different focus, maybe more on the grammar or more on the linguistic side rather than comprehension. And only for the administrator exams announced in September, it is 99% sure that there will be a situational judgment test. But for the current linguist positions, there is no situational judgment test required. For lawyer linguists, a little exception, because they need to do 2 translations, legal translations, without a dictionary, to Croatian language from their source languages within roughly 2 hours. So for them, this is the pre-selection test that they need to pass. And they also have further tests in the assessment center. For the translators, the language of these tests, for abstract, numerical, and verbal reasoning, it's the second language. As you remember, English, French, or German. The language test, this is where they check your Croatian knowledge or your knowledge of Croatian language. And there is another language test for the third language, according to the previously discussed rules. So, second language for the 3 reasoning ones, Croatian language test, and your third language, again, a language test, computer-based, online, on screen. Online in the sense that it's in an exam center, it's not from your home. For interpreters, the following rules apply with the various combinations of the languages. There are, again, the 3 reasoning tests and an extra verbal reasoning test required in the framework of pre-selection. Just to give you a little insight or a little overview what an abstract reasoning test looks like, it looks like an IQ test in my view. You have little charts and figures which follow a certain pattern, and you need to find which one is the next in the series. As a main rule, you will have 10 questions and 10 minutes to complete that. For numerical reasoning, you have a data chart like this one, where you need to interpret the table, find numbers, figures, and calculate. You will, as a main rule, have 10 questions and 20 minutes. Here's a little snapshot from one of our sample verbal reasoning tests that we have developed with professional experts. It's in Croatian, as you will see. I have to confess I don't understand a single word from it, but as we get feedbacks from users, I understand it is of very good quality, something we take pride in. And then you have 4 statements for the verbal reasonings. Which one is actually the correct one that really matches the statement in the best possible way. In the verbal reasoning, just a few hints in advance to give you some tips and advice on the exam. There's always a text passage that you need to read with a relevant question and 4 statements, occasionally 5 statements, and there's always only one correct answer and no more. So 1 correct answer, there is no trap in that. So you need to be careful about not considering outside information that is not written in the text itself. Or if one of the answer options speaks about generalizations, this is something that can be tricky because it might not be completely the relevant answer. Or consider what is a possibility in the answer statement and what is actually a fact. And similar wording, because one synonym might be misleading you into choosing the wrong answer. Going further, just regarding the timing for the verbal reasoning, I mentioned that for the first test you have 20 questions and 35 minutes. If you are applying for the interpreter exams, there you will have a second verbal reasoning test where you have 10 questions and 17.5 minutes, so it's a pretty tough exercise. A good news is that we have hundreds, literally hundreds of Croatian verbal reasoning tests on our website, which we have been developing with the help of some Croatian beta testers and a professional agency. Feel free to try it out. We have a large number of free tests. Check it, use it, and you can certainly practice with those. In terms of verbal reasoning, we also offer practice in 10 languages. So whichever competition and whichever combination of languages you apply for, you can find practice on our website from, and English, French, German, Spanish, Italian are all included. Just to give you a little summary, because I know it's been quite a lot of information and complex information to digest, to wrap up that for the pre-selection, administrator tests to be announced in September, translator exams currently ongoing, interpreter tests currently ongoing, you will have an abstract reasoning, numerical reasoning, and verbal reasoning test required. The language test is also required, and the situational judgment test only for the administrator exams in September. For lawyer linguist, it's a little bit different, where you need to do 2 legal translations without a dictionary as part of the pre-selection tests.